I thought I had time. That was the sentence that quietly ran my life for decades. I thought I had time to call back, time to apologize, time to visit, time to try, time to begin. Time felt generous. It felt expandable. It felt like something that would wait politely while I handled more urgent matters. It does not wait. When you are young, time feels like a wide open field. You assume you can walk in any direction and still find your way back. I postponed important things because they felt uncomfortable. I postponed meaningful things because they were not urgent. Urgency is a dangerous filter. I stayed busy. From the outside, my life stayed busy. From the outside, my life looked steady and respectable. Inside, I kept telling myself that the real moments could wait. I would take the trip later. I would sit down and listen properly later. I would fix the tension between us later. I would pursue that long-held dream later. Later became my favorite word. Later is comforting. It allows you to feel responsible and hopeful at the same time. You are not refusing the important things. You are simply postponing them. You believe you are being practical. Practicality becomes a shield. I remember a conversation I delayed for years. It was not dramatic. It was not explosive. It was simply honest. There were things that needed to be said, feelings that needed acknowledgement. I told myself there would be a better time, a calmer season, a moment when everyone was less stressed. Seasons change, but stress does not disappear. It transforms. The conversation never happened in the way I imagined it would. By the time I realized that delay had turned into distance, the space between us had hardened. It is difficult to bridge a gap that has been widening silently for years. Time does not announce when it is running out on a particular opportunity. It simply closes doors quietly. I also thought I had time with my body. I ignored small warnings, fatigue that lingered, pain that returned. I believed that serious consequences belonged to older people, and I did not yet feel old. Age arrives gradually. Limitation arrives suddenly. One day you notice that recovery takes longer. Energy fades earlier. The things you assumed were permanent begin to feel fragile. You look back and realize you treated your health like something renewable. It is not renewable. It is finite. I thought I had time to become the person I wanted to be. I believed there would be a clear turning point, a year when responsibilities would ease and clarity would arrive. I imagined a version of myself who would finally feel ready. Ready for what? Readiness is another illusion. It suggests that confidence must precede action. In reality, action creates clarity. Waiting creates doubt. I wasted years preparing for a life I could have been living in smaller ways all along. The greatest mistake was not laziness. It was assumption. The assumption that relationships would remain intact without deliberate attention. The assumption that dreams would stay vivid without practice. The assumption that people would always be there when I finally chose to show up fully. They were not. Loss rarely comes with warning. It arrives in the form of illness, relocation, changed priorities, or simple emotional withdrawal. By the time you notice that someone is no longer as close, the shift has already occurred. Time does not only run out on life, it runs out on versions of people. You do not lose someone all at once. You lose access to who they were at a certain stage. The child who wanted to talk. The friend who invited you repeatedly. The partner who tried to connect before growing quiet. I thought I could reconnect whenever I decided to. I believed relationships paused patiently while I focused elsewhere. They do not pause. They evolve without you if you are not present. The most painful realization is this: the moments you postpone do not remain frozen in place, they expire. Opportunities have a lifespan. Energy has a lifespan. Even courage has a lifespan. You can delay action long enough that the desire weakens. What once felt urgent becomes faint. Not because it did not matter, but because you trained yourself to ignore it. I am not telling you that everything must happen now. I am telling you that the idea of unlimited time is a quiet lie. Time feels slow when you are planning. It moves quickly when you are remembering. I used to look ahead constantly. Now I look back more often than I expected. The space between those two perspectives is smaller than I imagined. In the next part, I will tell you what finally broke this illusion for me and what I understood when it was almost too late to correct it. The illusion ended quietly. There was no dramatic announcement, no single catastrophe that forced clarity. It was a slow awareness that something I assumed would always be available had quietly slipped out of reach. I realized that time does not simply pass. It closes doors. I used to believe that delay was harmless. I thought postponing a conversation meant it would still be waiting for me later. I thought delaying a visit meant I would simply visit another day. I thought ignoring a dream meant I could return to it when life felt less complicated. What I failed to understand is that circumstances change faster than intentions. People change, energy changes, priorities change. The version of someone you planned to reconnect with does not remain frozen in place. The opportunity you intended to pursue evolves or disappears. The body you assumed would cooperate begins to resist. Time does not pause while you gather courage. One of the hardest truths I have learned is this: hesitation compounds. The more you delay, the heavier the action becomes. A simple apology grows into a complicated repair. A small dream becomes an intimidating leap. A short visit becomes a regret you cannot revise. The weight increases with every day you postpone. I began to notice that most regrets are quiet ones. They are not about public failure. They are about private avoidance, words unsaid, affection unexpressed, risks never attempted. Failure can teach you something. Avoidance only teaches you how to avoid more. When I finally understood that I had been wrong about time, I stopped searching for ideal conditions. I stopped waiting to feel completely ready. Readiness is often an excuse that disguises fear. You do not feel ready before you begin. You feel ready because you begin. I started with small actions. I initiated conversations I had rehearsed in my head for years. I expressed appreciation without attaching it to a holiday or milestone. I revisited interests that I once dismissed as impractical. None of these steps were dramatic, but they were deliberate. What surprised me was how much regret had been fueled by imagination. I imagined rejection. I imagined conflict. I imagined failure. The reality was usually far less severe than the stories I had constructed. Delay amplifies fear. Action reduces it. There are still things I cannot change. Some opportunities are permanently closed. Some relationships cannot return to what they once were. Accepting that is painful, but even that pain carries a lesson. What remains is still valuable. You may not control how much time you have left. You control how honestly you use it. Do not wait for a crisis to remind you of this. Do not assume that the people in your life will always be accessible in the same way. Do not assume that your health will always tolerate neglect. Do not assume that motivation will patiently survive years of postponement. Time rewards engagement and punishes delay. I thought I had time to be braver. I thought I had time to be more present. I thought I had time to live intentionally. I was wrong. If you are hearing this now, you still have a choice. Not to overhaul your life overnight, not to chase extremes. Simply to stop assuming that later is guaranteed. Make the call while the number still works. Have the conversation while the relationship still responds. Take the first small step while your energy still supports it. Time does not wait for certainty. It moves. The question is whether you will move with it.